Stonehouse Apartments versus Taya Leighton. Miss Layton failed to appear for her hearing. I think it was December 1st. And she's filed a motion to set aside the default judgment. In order to set aside a default judgment, you need to have a meritorious defense and good cause for not showing up. I'm not sure we have either of those things here. The default entered on December 1st. We found that she owes $4,054 in rent, $131 in other costs, $194.20, for a total of $4,379.58. Or she was subject to evicted after December 11th. She filed this motion to set aside the default December 10th. So, Miss Layton?
Yes, sir.
I think you're mostly asking for a delay rather than, do you deny that you owe $4,000 worth of rent?
No, I don't deny that. I just really wanted to get that court date basically rescheduled because I didn't mean to miss it. Like I said, I'm usually good about getting on my court case and everything, but I had all that stuff happen with Indiana and then the accident that I just had court for with you the other day. So I just got very overwhelmed and lost track. My notebook that I had with the date on it got misplaced out of my car. So by the time that I did find out what day it was, they said, okay, well, you can file the motion against it, but I didn't have $20 yet, which is why I got filed on the 10th.
All right. Well, do you have a plan to either pay the rent or move out?
Yeah, so Neighborhood Inc. is doing my intake today at 3 o'clock. So she said since I filed that motion, because I went in that week when you guys had already had that motion filed. So she said since I have more time now, she can do my intake, and then I filed my SCR. So I have everything filed in a motion for that. And I go today to talk to speak more with her, but she said that she was glad that I did come in because I can get the help. So she's doing my intake at 3 today, and then I find more out.
All right, well, let me tell you a couple of things. In order to cure this, you have to pay the entire amount of the rent. Partial payment will not prevent the writ of eviction. And
Right.
And on January 1st, another month's rent is going to be due. So you're going to owe about $5,000. So let's say Neighborhood Inc. gives you $3,500. You're still responsible for paying the balance, or you're still subject to being evicted. Absent this motion you filed, you would have been subject to eviction December 11th.
Yes.
And now we're 8 days past that date. It is easier to keep a good tenant in there than to move one out and move another one in, but they have a waiting list. They have people waiting for your apartment. And the people tell me every week I would move if I had somewhere to move to. So having said all that, Mr. Fleeman, do you have a position on this?
Your Honor, my position is that in the absence of a meritorious defense even having been listed on the form, I'm not sure why this was scheduled for a hearing. But because it was scheduled for a hearing, we now find ourselves at December 19th, a full month after the first hearing and a couple of months after the thing was filed. And when, as you very correctly point out, January is right around the corner. We're going to be at roughly $5,400 at that point. And I don't know of any agencies making that type of a payment. And when we were here last time, she was waiting on a nursing job. No, when we were here on November 17th, she was waiting on a nursing job. And I don't know if that job came through, but I don't see any way that this is going to get caught up. And I think essentially Miss Layton is just buying time for the sake of buying time and costing the landlord more money, in the form of lost rent that they are never going to see again. So as such, I would ask that the order of eviction be entered now.
Well, I'm not trying to buy more time. I also just had a lot going on, like I said. So I was trying to actually get the assistance that you guys tell us to try to get. So, and I didn't get that nursing job. But I do have a job lined up for specialized staffing. I go in today once I found a reliable babysitter. So it's just a lot going on. I also have my 3 kids, and I was left with just being the responsible sole parent to just them, which is why I got behind anyway. So
All right, well, there's 2 problems, Miss Layton. One is you don't have a meritorious defense. You owe the money.
yeah, I know.
So that's one problem. You're supposed to submit an affidavit of meritorious defense. But I'll set this for hearing anyway on a day Mr. Fleeman was going to already be here. We had the first hearing, as he mentioned, in November, and then we had the second hearing December 1st. So the first issue is there is no meritorious defense. The second issue is there's no good reason for failing to appear other than you forgot. If you were in the hospital or you were incarcerated someplace or that sort of thing. But so they're asking me to deny your motion to set aside default at the time to grant it, which means they could seek to evict you today. I was hopeful perhaps you'd at least give till the first of the year to seek the eviction. But they haven't actually filed.
Stop, please.
All right. Are you with me?
Yeah, sorry, I had to get my son situated.
Are you with me, Kira? All right. The motion to set aside the default is denied. I would suggest you have Neighborhood Inc. help you to see if they can help you pay your rent on another place. But there's problems. When you get evicted from a place like this, it may make you ineligible for other federal subsidized apartment placements. So this is a real deal. And Mr. Fleeman, as a practical matter, probably no eviction is going to take place until the first of the year anyway. It's Friday. I haven't got the writ yet. I'm here Monday and Tuesday. I'm gone the 26th. And I'm not sure what Sergeant Morris's plan is. But Miss Layton, the motion to set aside the default is denied. The plaintiff is going to submit a writ of eviction.
So is there a way that
Neighborhood Inc. is not going to give you $5,400. My suggestion would be you take what resources you have and try to find another place to move to. But they followed the steps. They've been trying to get you to move since September. I don't know when the notice to quit was filed.
September
And
11th.
so no rent has been paid September, October, November, December. And as I said, they have a waiting list of people that want to move in. So I would stay in contact with my manager. Also, when you move, you need to turn in the keys and give your forwarding address within 4 days of moving in writing. You need to turn in the keys and give your forwarding address within 4 days of moving. As it is, the matter's been deferred. You were eligible for eviction after December 11th. It's now December 19th. And as a practical matter, probably no eviction would enter until the 1st of January. So you've delayed it 20 days or so, but they've been asking you to pay the rent or move since September. And the 11th hour and the 59th minute and 59th second, the clock just hit midnight. And Mr. Fleeman, you can submit a writ of eviction. Miss Layton, I would call Neighborhood Inc. and tell them you need help finding a place to go. And I would suggest you stay in contact with your manager. But
So
that's the
is there
best I've got.
is there a
Yes?
set date yet, or could I be out by the 1st, or is there something that I could work out with their attorney to, if I'm out by
All
this
right. Well, I
date?
don't know. Are you willing to give her until January 2nd to vacate?
I really have nothing planned out yet. Just me and my 3 kids.
Yes.
Your Honor, I think you're right. As a practical matter, even if I send it in today and you sign it on Monday, I don't believe that the officer will be there by that time, but he might be there right after second. That's possible. I do not know what his schedule is, and I don't have authority to give any additional time. And Your Honor, you made a really good point. This started in September. This is not a surprise. This started a long time ago. So I think that the plaintiff is probably not going to give me authority to stretch it out longer. They've waited long enough.
All right. Well, you can assume that perhaps nothing's going to happen at least until after Christmas.
Right.
But you're right. This has been delayed for months. So, Miss Layton, you should, with some urgency, try to and stay in contact with your manager. It's highly likely they'll give you until January 2nd.
Can you
It's a
stop
lot
on
easier
the
to have
phone?
somebody
No.
move out than have somebody move
Right there.
in, but this didn't go away because you ignored it, and here it is. So I wish you the best. Stay in contact with your manager. When you leave, you need to turn in your keys and give your forwarding address in writing within 4 days.
So as of right.
Yes, that's a sad story, but she put herself in that position.
That is correct, Your Honor. I mean, I don't normally like to take out that hard of a line, but yeah, enough's enough. And so we'll see. Thank you. And actually, I have another one. I have others with you. Are you going to be ready for those? Not till 9:15. See you, Becky. You're
Thank
good to
you.
go.
Yes,
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I didn't want to drag you around the map, and as you said, she didn't file a meritorious, an affidavit of meritorious defense, but I want to at least have an opportunity to explain to her. She didn't like the explanation, but it
Judge,
is what it is.
it breaks my heart. It makes me, it upsets me when I talk to tenants who, because they get a longer demand for possession in the first place, but by the time we get here and they're saying, I just got a job. Well, just getting a job means you're not going to have a real paycheck for 2 to 4 weeks,
Yes.
before you, depending on the pay cycle of that job. So, and I don't know what type of, do you know what type of maximum Neighborhood Inc. has even?
Well, no, they had very little funding. Then they got rejuvenated funding. They scheduled a meeting with all of the funding agencies and the landlords, and they canceled it. I went to the meeting and nobody was there. Then I heard that they fired everybody or that was there, and they've got new staff. And there's a lady who is, I understand, running Neighborhood Inc. She's also a Three Rivers City Commissioner, and I was gonna try to touch base with her and see what their situation is.
Right, right. In
But,
Kalamazoo, we're having meetings on the same thing. I'm on an eviction diversion program here in Kalamazoo that we helped create, and we had a meeting the other day, and it's kind of a similar story. They had very little funding. One of them just got some funding, but the funding that we all kind of got used to during the pandemic, where these agencies could pay $2,000, $3,000.
Well,
I don't know
10,000.
anybody that does that much
Well,
now.
they weaved gold out of straw during COVID, and there was just money everywhere. And all of a sudden, people were having $7,000, $8,000 worth of rent paid. The landlords were made whole. The tenants got to stay. That went away when we got out of the COVID circumstance. So the clear answer to the question is there's not enough emergency financial assistance, and there's not enough housing, certainly not enough low income housing. So, and the problem is not limited to us. I think I told you this. I saw a story that said all 2,186 counties in America have this same problem. That was the headline. I thought it was water quality or something, so I read the article, and it was all 2,186 counties do not have enough affordable housing. And we're in that group. We're doing better than they are in some places.
Well, and Judge, let me tell you that I have one property, or one management company, MRD, that Becky works for. They have several properties whose rural development mortgages have been paid off in the last couple of years. And these programs have become so difficult to deal with, not only from the federal government standpoint, but also from the tenant standpoint, that a lot of these owners elected to simply not renew their contract with rural development. they elected to go conventional. They said, we're out of here. We're done with
Yes,
this.
and we're
Done
seeing
with
it
the
more and
subsidy.
more. And
Yep.
mom and pop landlords it's not more trouble than it's worth. And the small private landlords actually at one time held more of the housing stock than the corporate landlords. But that may be changing. And the other thing is these rents aren't going down, they're all going up.
Well, and that's a
All
supply
right.
and demand issue to some extent, and we've kind of had a double whammy in that regard because for a while the sale prices of any type of home were so high that a lot of the mom and pops you refer to opted to just simply get out of the game. You know, it was more cost effective to sell the property than to continue being a landlord, and so I think that further depressed the stock, which then creates the supply and demand whiplash essentially, where people could charge higher rent and less stock to go with. But
Well, Mr. Nossinger, thank you for sharing our philosophical discussion. Mayor Lowry is also a landlord who's nodding his head in agreement the way the circumstances are. Mr. Nossinger, why don't you come on up